Hey there, Nikki here of Li-Fi Design. Today's video is going to be all about brush control. If you are new to watercolor painting, brush control is a really great thing to work on as part of your daily practice so that you can get really comfortable understanding how your brushes work so that you're in control and can paint effortlessly and beautiful watercolor paintings, which is my goal for you. If you are a seasoned watercolor painter, or maybe you're building your skills to become more seasoned, this is still a great practice for you to really truly get to know the potential of your tool and be able to work with it again to create some ease as you're working with watercolor, controlling that water flow and everything that we do when we're watercolor painting. So let's get started. So I grabbed my Watercolor Made Simple book just to see what brush techniques I had recommended in this book. It's a really great practice. If you don't have the book yet, you might want to grab a copy. I also have online classes if that's something that speaks to you more. I'm going to play around with these 4 brushes. I may not use them all, but I grabbed them because they are my go-to brushes that I use. Okay, let's get set up here. I just grabbed a palette that I had with a little bit of paint in it because I don't like to waste paint. I'm going to start with this really fine round brush. These are my Li-Fi Design brushes. We will come out with another batch, so if you don't have them, make sure you sign up for email updates so that you can get your hands on one. Now, when it comes to working on brush control, the position of your hand has a lot to do with how comfortable the stroke is and even just how nice and thin and smooth that stroke is as well. So get comfortable and don't worry about having to paint straight. Turn your page so that you can get some really beautiful, comfortable line work. So having a small detail brush and practicing brush control by understanding the little pressure of the slight amount of pressure that you need to apply on your brush in order to create the strokes that you are anticipating or you are thinking about for that particular part of your watercolor painting. Even when I'm working on creating a little bit of texture, I'll play around. I'll have a scrap paper with me typically when I'm painting and play around with the effect that I can create with the brush. I'll show you again, creating a little bit of that effect. So holding your brush up and down in a straight point can be a really great way to create those beautiful thin lines. Angled for me feels a little bit more comfortable, so I can still create thin lines. I'll just create a slight bit of pressure so you can see that. But again, it's a comfortable hold for me. So you figure out what feels right for you and really allow you to get the most out of your brush. So I've created some thin strokes here, but what if I put a little bit of pressure on that brush and played around with what that stroke looks like? So I'm literally just pushing down on the brush and creating a little bit of pressure. So you can see already how many different variations of strokes I can create from this little detail brush. It's about a size 1 or a size 2. Size 0 works really well as well if you are wanting to create a little bit of definition, texture, and fine detail for your watercolor paintings. So doing a simple process like this really helps in order to understand what the brush does, okay? I go ahead and load up my flat brush. So I'll use the same color actually. It looks like it's Perylene Green, which is a lovely watercolor paint by Winsor Newton. It's a professional watercolor tube of paint, which means it's highly pigmented. It is really saturated. Look at that beautiful color. And I can rely on it lasting. So the permanence is really good, especially as I'm selling my artwork. I want to make sure that my watercolor pieces last. So again, you can see how as I was chatting, I was just laying down a few strokes of this beautiful green. I'll show you that again. I'm holding my brush at an angle and just allowing it to connect with the surface of the paper. I'm not applying a ton of pressure. The paper is automatically going to draw the watercolor paint out of my brush and have it be absorbed on the surface of the paper. So I should mention I'm working on Winsor Newton's professional watercolor paper. It's one of my favorite to paint on. It's a cold press, so it has a slight bit of texture, so you can see that beautiful granulation that the watercolor paint offers naturally. And when you pick and find your favorites, don't feel like you need to try every single bit of paper that's out there. When you find your favorite that you like to work on, continue to work on what feels right and become even more familiar with it, getting to know your tools and understanding how to best work with them. I think often we're distracted by getting sort of the newest and the latest, but really when you find what works, stick with it and really enjoy that ease and comfort that you get from working with it. Okay, so again, I just turned my brush. I'm kind of experimenting during this tutorial and playing a little bit. So I turned my brush again at a 45 degree angle, 90 degree angle, straight up and down. And I'm just creating really fine strokes. So I can work flat, meaning I'll push down on the barrel of the brush to create these really broad strokes, or I can work where it's, again, my hand is positioned up and down. So I'm just using the tip of the brush to create those fine lines. And get creative. Think about different ways you can move your brush around to create some interesting shapes. I'm going to try a leaf shape. So I'm just connecting my brush, pulling it down, and then lifting again. Beautiful. So connecting, pulling it down, opening the barrel, and pulling it up again. So again, getting to know the potential of how my brush works will also help me decide which brush to pick up at different stages of my painting process. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do this nice big fat one. So this is about a size 6 or a size 8. Remember, every brush manufacturer's sizing is different. It's not like ladies' shoes where we can count on a size 8 being the same size from brand to brand. Brushes don't work that way. They all are very unique. I designed these brushes myself. It's very specific with how I wanted them to function. I have a very nice fine point. You can see how much larger this brush is compared to the first one we worked with. But again, it's all in technique. I can create that really thin, fine line based on how little pressure. I'm just letting the brush and my hand glide across the page, so the paper actually encourages the paint to be transferred onto the paper, okay? And if I press down and really open up that barrel, you can see that beautiful brush stroke that I can get from this paintbrush. Okay, we'll do one more again, pushing it down and then just releasing and see what happens. This is a really great warm-up if you are working on maybe just getting ready for a big painting and you need to warm your hand up a little bit. Again, I'm just pushing down the brush and releasing, creating a beautiful flower petal. This helps you with water control, understanding your paper and brush connection, as well as creating that muscle memory that we need as we're painting with watercolor. And the more you create that muscle memory through practice, the more controlled your brush strokes will be, so that when it comes time to paint something, I'm just going to grab a random sketchbook and give you an example here. Oh, look at this lovely pumpkin. Caught my eye, especially with the color that I'm using. So I know which brushes that I'm going to use throughout the painting process. Also the techniques I'm going to practice with my brush. And working in a sketchbook allows me to do that. So you can take this practice into your sketchbook before you start painting, working on brush control, understanding what the brushes can do for you, and allowing you to create a really nice warm-up before you get to painting, okay? I hope this was helpful. A really nice quick tutorial on how to work with your brush. Again, Watercolor Made Simple. I have more brush tips and techniques for you to work on throughout the book. If courses are your thing, Watercolor Made Simple online class is one of my students' favorites. And just enjoy the process of putting brush to paper and really leaning into your watercolor practice. Remember to give this video a double thumbs up, subscribe so you get updated with new videos as they get released, and I'll see you next time.